Hello gang, I'm back. Today I'm going to show you a little bit different way to play what I was playing along to. I was using a little different fingering and I'm going to make it a little more simple today. So I'm going to show you that and then I'm going to give you some pointers on how to figure these chords out. What I showed the other day was, so we got the E. Open E is the bass, the root note in all these. Alright, so that's what I showed the other day. Now you can play the same notes. Instead of playing up here on the D and G, we can play the same notes down on the A and the D string. And this whole section is kind of palm muted. He's not letting the E string ring really open. He's not doing that. So it's palm muted. And then it's not really strummed all at once. It's kind of arpeggioed. Alright, so palm muted. Yeah, and then what I did change, I changed this. Now I'm just playing a fifth here. This on the A, this on the D, over the E string. It's really part of the same chord, we're just choosing different notes. You know what this really is, if we think about, if we want to go in the theory of what he's doing here, he's playing an E minor, and then he's going to a F sharp over E. So that's actually the chord. He's just playing individual intervals out of this chord, but that's, in theory, that's what he's doing. E minor, F sharp over E minor, E, and then he's just adding the upper extension of the same chord, and then going to the E power chord. And then this is, it's almost like a D over E, but it doesn't quite sound right. So we just play that interval out of a D chord before going to the E major. So if you played the whole chord like that, so you can hear it's accomplishing the same thing. So he's just selecting intervals out of that chord structure. E power chord, and then that kind of D tonality, back to E major. So what kind of approach do we use to figure something out like this? Well, the first thing that we can say about it is that it's not using open chords. So we are to a point where we know what open chords sound like. And we don't hear those in this section, so we know we're going to have to do something different than open chords. We also don't hear any treble strings. We're not hearing any high notes in this section. Everything's down lower, so we know we're going to be working down in this lower register. So the first thing you need to do is you need to find the bass root note. And he makes it easy here because he's pedaling everything over an E note, the open E string. Alright, so the first one we can hear pretty clearly is just E minor. So we can play it either way. But I think probably he did play it this way. Alright, so we find that first. Well, Well, how do we find that next chord? Well, what I do is I listen for one note in the chord, and usually the easiest one to hear is the highest of the notes in the triad or the chord. So when I listen to it, I hear that note coming up is the highest note in the next chord. So then literally it's just a matter of experimentation. What sounds right below that? It's not that. It's not that. Not that. Not that. I think it might be that. So a lot of times it's just putting your fingers down in different places until you find what sounds right. And I can hear on the, when I listen to it, I can hear the next note goes up to there. Once again, we've shifted down to play it here. And when I listen to this next chord, I can just hear a power chord. I don't hear any third in it. So it can function either as major or minor. And then we finally shift down to the open position down here. So find the root note, find one note of the chord, which is usually the highest that you can hear. It sticks out the most. And then just put your fingers on strings below that until you find what sounds right. Really, it's a lot of times it's just a process of experimentation to find the next chord. So those are some tips. Slow the playback down to 0.75. Find the root note. Find one note of the new chord, which is usually the easiest you hear is the highest note, and then experiment below that until you find the next interval. Usually I just go to the next string below because most chords are not going to be skipping a string. Sometimes they do, but rarely. So usually there'll be a note on the next string lower that complements that note that you hear, the highest one that you hear in the chord. All right, till later. Bye.